not coming down. I never left it on the ground. I'm not coming down. I want to go higher, higher, higher than this.
Hello, this is Rebecca Fleetwood-Hession, host of the Badass Women's Council podcast. I'm glad you're here. Today we have Brittany Overbeck on the show today. She is the owner of Blue House Bridal, a bridal shop in Carmel, Indiana, which is a suburb of Indianapolis, Indiana. And Brittany's going to talk today about the importance of living out our gifts and talents and passions in the careers that we choose, that it's just not a nice to have. It's truly important if we want to thrive and have joy and enjoy our lives. And what's so fun to watch when Brittany is in her element at her shop is the way that a bride feels when they're in her presence. It's just magic. Her shop is in a little house in this cute little community, and it's a significant difference when you are passionate about what you do. And I just know that that is showing up in big ways for her and her business. So you're going to love Brittany. She's fun. Here we go. Hey, Brittany, how's it going?
Hi, so good. How are you?
Super good. I'm glad you're here.
Yes.
So we have with us today Brittany Overbeck, who is the owner of Blue House Bridal in Carmel, Indiana.
Yes, my favorite.
Yes, absolutely. So we're going to talk today about Brittany's journey to really get back to working in an area that she is passionate about, which is the bridal industry. And I have the pleasure of knowing Brittany since she was a little girl.
Tiny.
A little sweetie girl. And I know that when you were, all the way probably middle school, high school,
Yep.
you spent every free moment drawing wedding gowns.
Oh my gosh. I had a tiny little mannequin. I had a notebook to draw my dresses in. I had fabric to play with. I asked for books about design and dresses. I loved it.
And you were good at it.
Yeah.
It wasn't just like, oh, look, the little girl
Like she drew a dress.
Yeah,
Right?
no, it was where people would look at it and their eyes would get big and they'd be like, oh my gosh, she's really good.
Aw.
And then as you started looking at careers,
Yes.
you wanted to go to design school
Mm-hmm.
and
Got a big fat no. Yeah.
and your dad, who is an entrepreneur,
Yes.
said no.
He said, almost word for word, he said, I pay people from the Art Institute minimum wage on a daily basis. So that was a no.
That was
And then my mom, honestly, she wasn't necessarily against it, but a lot of it also had to do with the cost of art school. It's expensive. It's not the same tuition costs as going to IU or Purdue.
Right.
So.
And so it wasn't we don't care about you, no. It was, we really care about you.
Yeah.
So
no. They were trying to direct me towards a career that they felt like would make me more money in the end, that would be consistent, insurance benefits. I don't have to worry about anything. That's what they wanted for sure.
And this is a theme that I find constantly, where parents are trying to do the right thing and ultimately steering their kids away from the thing that they're most passionate about.
Absolutely.
And all for the right reasons, like love and good intentions. I want your life to be easy. I had to work hard and strive, and I don't want that for you. But ultimately, it's working against the way that you really were wired for this.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Oh my gosh. Yes.
And you found that out because you did what they asked you to do.
Yep, I did exactly what they asked me to do. I directly out of college, I had 5 internships during college, worked my butt off to get as high of a GPA as I could, graduated with honors. I got a job before I even graduated with Marriott in their management program.
Significant.
As an event manager. Yeah, it was
because
good
your
salary,
degree
good
was
benefits. It was an event management degree. Yeah.
So to land Marriott International was huge.
Yeah, it was good. It was really good. And, it was not great. It was a good starting spot. And I did absolutely learned from it, but I knew that was not where I was supposed to be.
And you put everything into it though, like you always do.
Yeah.
That's just who you are.
Yeah.
You don't have
The
that
last
stuff.
couple months, I definitely slacked a little bit just because I really, my heart wasn't in it. But I really did try at the beginning. I did a lot of different areas of the hotel. I worked really hard. I wanted to be good at it, and I wanted to love it, and I wanted it to work out, and I wanted to grow in the company. And
I've got benefits. I should love this.
I should love this. I should love this. Like, I can get bonuses, and I have insurance and like cool stuff. But no.
But ultimately, it wasn't.
Feeding
you.
It wasn't feeding me. Yeah.
And so it was at that point that you got back into the bridal industry, right?
Yeah. So honestly, the whole time I was still trying to stick with weddings. Like, I was doing wedding planning. All of my internships were focused around that. I did one other that wasn't, but it was still events. And then I ultimately just sat there in my little cube and suit one day, and I was like, screw this. I'm not happy. What would I do to make myself happy? Like, what do I know would make me really happy? And I didn't have any debt. I didn't have kids. I didn't have anything tying me down. So it's kind of like a blank slate. I could do whatever I wanted. And
instead of waiting until you're, 40 something.
Right. And then if it didn't work, I can go back. It's not, there's always another job. Always.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that is so key and yet counterintuitive to the way a lot of parents are steering their kids.
Sure.
Cameron, who's going to be 21 on Monday. How weird is that?
That's really weird.
I know, right?
Oh my God.
when I supported him not going the traditional college route and chasing music and recording and songwriting, a lot of people have looked at me like,
you're crazy.
You're crazy.
Yes.
And yet he has been working since he's 16.
That kid works hard.
He works hard. He's a manager at a fast food restaurant, which may sound like, oh, that's, so he's, fry guy. No, he's managing 35-year-olds and learning life skills.
Oh my God. And trying to manage that is hard. That's not easy. It's people older than you. They don't listen to you.
He works so hard.
Exactly.
But the reason he's willing to work hard at that is the music piece, like that's everything. And I think it's important for us to remember that we are all hardwired for specific gifts and talents.
Absolutely.
Like, God puts that in on purpose.
Uh-huh.
And we've got to pay attention to it, because when you didn't, it was eating at you, and you said, I've got to get back to this.
It ate me alive. Yep. It ate me alive.
And so then you happened to you knew somebody that was running this bridal business, and you went in business with her, right?
Yeah. So basically how it happened is in my cube at Marriott in the afternoon.
In your little suit.
After getting my little checklist done in my suit, bored because I had to stay until 5:30 no matter what.
Oh, gosh.
I started emailing bridal shops in Indianapolis, because at that point, all I wanted was experience. And I wasn't quitting my job at that moment. I just wanted to get experience.
Little side hustle.
A little side hustle. So I could, do something that I love, but maybe start a different direction. So I emailed the owner of Blue House, and we talked for a long time. And I said from the beginning, I don't want to just work for you. I want to grow, and I either want to become management, or I want my own business, or I want to partner with you. So we literally I started steaming dresses for her. That's the first thing I did. And then I worked as a consultant, and then I became her business partner. And then eventually she left, and now it's just me.
So go back to that day when you walked into the shop for the first time and you were just steaming dresses. Do you remember that day and what that felt like?
Of course, because when you're just steaming dresses, you're like, oh my gosh, like what did I do? Did I do something wrong? Because at that point it was mindless. I wasn't really working with brides. It wasn't the creative outlet I was looking for. It wasn't that connection with people. So that first day was definitely a question of, is this a mistake?
And then what?
And then I grew into the position. So I started working with brides. And honestly, the first time that you find a girl her wedding dress and she breaks down in tears, it is the best feeling. Like, that you made her day. You made this memory for her. it's such a good feeling.
And I watch your eyes and I watch you light up when you talk about your brides still today.
Absolutely.
Like it's,
oh my gosh.
You can't not see it.
It's such, if you don't know that feeling, it's kind of hard to explain. But when you feel it, you're like, this is what I'm supposed to do. This is what makes me happy. This is what makes them happy. I'm doing something good. I'm doing something right. And it doesn't matter how much I have to work. I'm going to do it.
And it means that you're honoring the way that you're supposed to be working.
Yes.
You're honoring that passion that you've always had. And it makes a significant difference in the amount of effort you're willing to put into something.
Yes. If
right?
you love something, you are willing to work really, really hard at it.
Because I don't even think that it's about owning your own business or not owning your own business.
Sure.
I think you can work in corporate America or work someone else for someone else if you're doing the thing that you're passionate about.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
For me, I really do like owning it because I like that everything that comes from it is mine. Like every little tiny thing that I do is mine.
Good, bad, and ugly.
I get the ownership of it. Yeah, it's a cool feeling.
Yeah.
But I know that a lot of people that are really happy where they're at, and it's because they love what they're doing, and it doesn't matter if they own it or not.
The concept that, generations ago, you work really hard at whatever you needed to where you got pay and benefits. And I mean, my gosh, you go back here and people talk about a pension. Like nobody even knows what that is anymore, right? And you earned your paycheck so that then you could enjoy life.
Exactly.
Which meant you worked your butt off at whatever for 50, 60 years.
Your whole life working.
No.
Just so that you could do something fun in the evening or on Saturday. Cool. You have one day a week that you're happy. One.
Absolutely.
No, thank you.
And I get concerned that parents don't understand that kids need to work in the job that they're passionate about.
Absolutely.
And a lot of the jobs that exist today,
kids, though. It's
yes.
I mean, adults. It's never too late.
Agreed.
100%
Agreed.
Never too late.
When I hear my kids' friends talk about the jobs that they're going into, I can tell the difference between when they're going to do something that they're passionate about or when they're going to do something that their parents told them was the right thing that they should do.
Oh, yeah.
And that is really concerning to me because I think a lot of parents haven't honored the fact that industries today exist that weren't here 5 years ago, 10 years ago. I mean, even video game jobs. Like I can remember when Cameron wanted to be a writer for the video game industry. And sometimes sometimes people would look at me like, he wants to work in video games? Oh, that's cute. And I'm like, oh my gosh, video game writers and creators make bank. They're doing things that they love. Yeah. The industry is huge. Like it's not just a little boy wants to do what his toys are. It's an industry.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think it just stems back to like just past generations, like what you were talking about earlier. Just so many people are used to seeing, their parents go to work from 9 to 5, whether or not they loved or hated their job. And that's how it works. And that's what you do.
What we're modeling for them in terms of stress isn't doing us any favors either.
No, not at all.
I can remember Cameron saying to me, he was probably 12, 14 years old. We were talking about careers and music and the industry and how many different ways that you could use that talent. And he said to me, Mom, I've watched what you've given up to provide all of this for us, and I don't think it's worth it.
Oh my God.
I remember it like it was yesterday.
A kid saying that, you're just like, what?
I mean, he's an old soul anyway, but I remember it was like it was yesterday. We were standing in the middle of this huge house that I had worked my butt off to pay for and
huge,
have.
Massive, beautiful house.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we enjoyed it. It wasn't like we didn't enjoy it, but he recognized that the price that you pay for that isn't just in dollars.
Oh, no.
It's in time and effort. And I'm one of the lucky ones because I was doing something at the time that I loved as well, but I was traveling. I was on the road. I missed a lot. And he just knew the stress that it was to provide for that. And he'd much rather make less money doing something he loves than sacrifice, joy.
100%.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And even today, there are some of my daughter's friends, 17 years old, that are making money as, influencers on Instagram, supporting products and different things. Like that's become bigger. That's money.
Right.
I mean, they could be at a fast food restaurant or a waitress or a
Sure.
hostess, but they're making the same money doing something they love. They
Right.
love the videography aspect of it or the writing and blogging. I mean, I'm a fan. Like,
Me too.
chase your dreams.
Go for it.
Do
Absolutely.
it.
I'm so supportive of that.
Yeah.
Adults, kids, anybody, go after what you love. Just do it.
And I don't know how we shift the culture to see it as the way that we're wired, not just a dream. Like,
Right. It's like this like little starry-eyed thing that they don't think is real. It's not something you actually go after. It's just a thought. Yeah.
it's not the way it should be. In fact, I started researching around what it means to thrive.
Mm-hmm.
And every day, your brain has one job. The job that your brain is supposed to do is make sure you survive and thrive. So it's always looking for a variety of different things. I always see it in my brain as a continuum. So on one side is, do they have food? Do they have water? Are they safe? The basic survival skills. And then it goes up to, are they psychologically safe? Are they in relationships where they don't feel like they're at risk? Then there's, are they using their gifts and talents? Then there's strong social networks and status and meaning and purpose and generosity and kindness. All of those things matter. Like, your brain is looking for those every single day for you. And it's how we're wired. And so when we don't have some of that in our lives, we pay a price for it. And so it's no longer this idea that you just have to get a paycheck and have benefits and make sure there's a roof over your head. Like, the expectations you should have in the way you're coaching your kids are you choosing a life that you can't wait to get up and do every day?
Right.
Not that you're surviving the job that you hate.
Right.
So ultimately, someday when you're 50 or 60, you get, a golf cart or an RV. Like,
you get that cool golf cart with the logo on it, right?
Yeah. No, I get all wrapped up around it.
Funny.
But
Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah, but I think a lot of it also is fear. Like, they're just afraid that they're going to fail and just don't want to even take that step.
Which is real. I mean, you and I have talked about it.
I get it.
There's a fair amount of time that I think, this is scary. I hope I've got mortgage money 6 months from now, or sometimes next month.
Yes.
Yeah, I hope somebody hires me for a speaking gig tomorrow.
I hope somebody buys 3 dresses right now.
Exactly.
Yeah, I get it.
But
Yeah.
I wouldn't trade it for the world.
No.
But I get that. There is some fear. But the other side of it is, to me, I have more fear thinking about what would happen if I had to get up every day and do a job that I hated. Yeah. Yeah. And
I've seen both sides, and I will never go back. If I don't succeed at this, I will find something else that I love, and I'll go for it.
and I love to work hard. Like, I think that's the thing that high achieving women have in common. Like, we want to work hard.
Yes.
But there's a difference between working to survive and working to thrive.
Absolutely.
Right. And I loved bartending back in the day. Like, if
I
had
liked waitressing too.
I know, right?
I actually enjoyed it.
So if I need some extra cash, I have no qualms with
thought
going.
About this. I have absolutely thought about
me
this.
too, just for the fun of it and meeting people. And
you meet new people all evening. You can make some darn good tips.
Yeah.
It's not bad at all.
As a writer, I always think, gosh, think of the stories and the characters that I could create out of those people again. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we should go work at the same place.
Let's do it. Let's go do it. I'm down.
So as we think about that whole idea of the continuum of survive, thrive, what are some of the other things that you do that keep you loving life? Because the other thing that I've noticed in watching you is, once you took the leap out of the here's where I am and this job that isn't me, and went out to do what you love, you also started taking other risks. It was like this new Brittany had emerged.
Yep.
Tell us some of those stories about some of the other things that you've done as a result of.
So the best way I describe this is that I was kind of in this box, this normal life box, where I had normal hours. I went home, I sat down, I watched TV, I had dinner. That was my life. And then I took one little step out and started working at Blue House, and I realized how good that made me feel. And started just looking at other areas of my life. Like, what else what else am I missing? So I started taking ballroom lessons, which was really fun.
Now let's just pause for a minute.
Yes.
Ballroom dancing.
Ballroom.
How old were you when you made this out of the box
I started
leap?
this 5 years ago. Ballroom was 5 years ago. That's the first lesson I took.
And you were mid-20s.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. And you just said, you know what? I used to dance. Why don't I dance anymore?
Why don't I dance anymore? That's exactly what happened. And it started very socially. Like I literally saw a Groupon. I was like, ooh, that sounds fun. I love dancing.
How many stories
This sounds really cool.
How many stories start with, I had a Groupon?
Oh my gosh, seriously though. I tried rock climbing with a Groupon, kayaking with a Groupon. I love to be active, and the more that I realized that I stepped out of my comfort zone and enjoyed something, the more I wanted to do it. The more I realized that for my personality, adventures like fill me. So I like to explore and do things and try new things and learn new things.
And that Groupon lesson to let me go meet some other dancers turned into you dancing
an obsession.
a little bit, but in a good way.
Yeah, exactly. So I started once a week, and then I started taking a couple more, and then eventually I was taking 10 lessons a week. So I was doing about 2 hours every day, and then competing every 2 months, 3 months for about 2 years.
And we're not just talking, hey, down at the community center,
Oh, no.
Brittany's doing. And we're talking
across the U.S.
You traveled the nation. It was legit, and you were winning.
I was winning. Yes, I was. And it just was something that every little goal that I met, you just want to keep going and keep getting better and better and better and better. And there was something that felt so good about performing, like just being on that floor. Every single stress goes away. You're just right there in that moment, feeling it, loving it. It's perfect.
And not feeling guilty like, oh, I shouldn't be doing this for me. I should be working harder. That's the message that I want people to get is those were things that filled you up and made you a stronger person, a better person,
absolutely.
A huge part of your growth that has made you a badass entrepreneur.
And it was not all glitter and rainbows like that. I mean, it was hard. And there were days I would show up to practice, I would cry. I was in pain. My muscles hurt. Like I was tired.
And the discipline to do 10 classes a week to get to that stage.
And I did not miss them. I never chose to just sit on the couch. Never. I did it anyways. I didn't care how I felt. I just went. And there's something to be said for that, and something that will, like, you grow from that. You really do.
And people that love you, who would never do anything to hurt you, sometimes would have that, would look at that like, oh, so she's dancing now?
Goodness.
She's, okay, so now she's quit her job. So it wasn't like, hey, she's starting her own business.
No.
Like the fear they had that now she's spending all this time dancing, and what is she doing? And really, you were fulfilling needs that you had for yourself personally. You had to swim upstream to do that.
Oh, there was one point I was sitting at a competition, and I vividly remember getting Facebook messages from some of my family members just telling me that I needed to be at work, and that if I was successful, then I would have been owning more than one bridal shop at that point. And why would I be dancing in my late 20s? And of course, there were people that were thinking I was having some kind of affair with my dance instructor.
That was
what
my favorite.
the hell? No, that was not happening at all. So I was definitely getting a lot of negative feedback for it, but it's something that you just learn how to push through, and every time somebody kicks you down, you learn how to stand taller than you did before. And
I think the two messages I want people to hear out of that are, one, these are people that love you so much. There was no malicious intent whatsoever. In fact, they were just concerned about you. So that's one thing. But the second thing is you have to be willing to still stand up for what you know you need and what's right and what's your story.
Absolutely.
You can't live someone else's story out of their fears for you.
Yep.
That's big.
It's
I mean, that's, and the more we do that, the better we are. Because then you start to, as you said, you've got more confidence. You've used that in your business. It's just made you a different
I am not
better person.
even kind of the same person that I was when I started all of this.
Which
I was
scares
not the
people.
same. It does. It scares people. And they think, they're like, you've changed. And I'm like, yes, I have. I am way stronger, way more confident. Have I fallen a million times? Absolutely. But here I am, and I'm happy, and I feel fulfilled.
It's so true. When you start making changes that disrupt their other people's view of you, that makes them uncomfortable.
Absolutely. They get uncomfortable.
And you have to be able to stand tall
stay
in it.
in that little box that I was talking about at the beginning. You're supposed to stay in it. And
because that's where they felt like they could protect you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I had to have some hard conversations with it. Like I remember having to even talk to my mom, who loves me dearly.
Oh my gosh, who's the most
me.
Amazing woman.
I love my mother. Yes. But
I love your mother
I remember having to have a conversation with her. It was like, I know that you have made mistakes, but you can't protect me from it. Like, I have to make mistakes on my own, and then I have to learn from those mistakes on my own. I'm not going to not do something because you made that mistake. Like,
and it's
you have to do it.
And it's a different way of parenting. And I started out that way because I wanted to be intentional and have my kids make mistakes while they were young, and I could be there to coach them. But it was hard. The hardest thing in the world is to know your kids are going down and they're going to fall. And you're like, it's slow motion. You're like, I want to save them, but
I can't even, I cannot even imagine trying to be in that position. So I understand where it comes from. Absolutely.
Especially when teenagers and boys and don't even get me started. Don't even get me started.
Yes.
And then another thing that you opted to try that didn't maybe go as well as any of us hoped that it was going to.
Oh God, where are we going?
But it was, I loved watching your tenacity in the face of it. And that's when you tried out for Colts Cheerleader.
Yes. Oh my gosh. That, you want to talk about walking into a foreign experience. So, I mean, I dance. I do ballroom. But when I do ballroom, I have a partner, and there's a syllabus, and I can work at my own pace, whereas this is something that...
And a syllabus is basically the choreography and the dance plan, right?
I know exactly what I'm working on, and I'd been doing it for a while, so I was comfortable with it. I step into this Colts class, and you've got these beautiful women, absolutely beautiful women, who've been dancing their entire life in this style of dance, and so... they're teaching a room full of, 50, 100 women the same routine. And it doesn't matter if you're learning it slow. It doesn't matter if you don't know what you're doing. You have to go at their pace.
And let me just pause, because you are gorgeous. And yet anytime you walk into a room full of other beautiful women, I don't care what you look like, there's still that part of you that goes, I'm not good enough. I'm not anything enough. Like, we just do that, right?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And in this situation in particular, like, you're expected to be tan. You're expected to have muscle. You're expected to have your hair perfect, eyelashes, like these tiny little shorts that barely cover your butt. Like, it's tiny clothes, and you're
vulnerability on alert.
Oh, absolutely. That was probably the most I've stepped out of my comfort zone in a very long time, but I did it.
And I'm going to call this out. You were one of the older contestants out of the group, right?
Absolutely. Most of those girls were just out of college. Some of them were in college. The youngest I remember was 18. And the oldest that I was close with was like 23, 24. So here I am, 28 years old, trying to do something I've never done before. And I went through, and I mean, there were days where I was like, should I go to this session? Like, should I keep doing this? And I was like, what's it hurting? Why not? Just try.
And
just try.
What all of us got out of watching you in that experience was courage.
Yeah.
Because watching you and knowing that it was hard, and knowing that you were feeling insecure and
so insecure.
Vulnerable.
Yes.
We cheered you on, and we just loved every ounce of it, because it was like, if she can do that, so can I.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's what all high achieving women need to remember, is that when one of us goes out and tries something courageous, we all benefit from it.
Oh my gosh, for sure.
Even when it doesn't turn out like you want it.
Even when it doesn't turn. And honestly, I would not go back and change it. I absolutely grew from that experience. I got way more flexible. I got my
literally
splits.
and figuratively.
I haven't done my splits in years, and I was able to do forward and back. I couldn't do it all three ways, but still, that's progress. I made amazing friends. Like, I have one of the girls working for me now that I met through Colts.
Oh, I didn't know that.
That wouldn't have been a thing. That wouldn't have been a thing if I didn't do this.
Oh, I love
So I made connections that I wouldn't have had if I didn't try.
So important. So flexible,
Yes.
not only in
Not
physically,
only physically,
but you got more flexible in realizing that things don't always work out.
They do not.
Even if you put 100% into
I put
it.
120% into it. I took every class that I possibly could. I took extra classes. I took
I
dance
remember
lessons
you
at
were
my
gone all the
studio.
time.
I was
In
constantly
fact,
working out.
I just remembered one of the things that you needed to do was learn football.
Which I still don't know.
So you call me and you say,
Teach me.
football. And I'm like,
Yes.
well,
That was fun, actually.
meet me Monday night at the bar. And we went and
Get
watched
a beer.
football and got
Watch
beers.
football. I at least learned the basics. There's 4 downs.
Yeah.
Got that part.
Oh,
I got
yay,
that part.
yay.
I remember a few positions.
Oh, that was a fun night.
Yes,
That
it was a fun night. But I'm still wanting to learn. So anybody that wants to teach me,
Yeah,
I'm
football
down.
lessons.
Football lessons. I still don't
Some
know
of the guys at the bar that night enjoyed teaching
Oh my
you
gosh.
football lessons.
Yes. Well, I mean, my parents never really watched it. Nobody around me ever watched it. Nobody I dated did. So it's like it's foreign for me. It's actually foreign.
And that's another example of something you learned about had you not put yourself in an uncomfortable situation.
Oh my gosh, absolutely.
And to live in the Midwest and not know sports
Well,
is
people
like
look at you like you're an idiot when you say
that's
you
daring.
you don't know football and you're going to try out for a football cheerleading squad. That's really smart, Brittany.
But it was fun, and it
was really fun.
I loved watching it.
I loved it too.
Yeah.
And I love those girls, and I am still super supportive of everyone that made it. And I've thought about trying out again, but honestly, I think I'm going to put my eggs back in the ballroom basket and keep going with that because I think it's more my niche, but I don't regret it whatsoever.
Oh, it's so fun to watch. So as we summarize today, there's so many rich things out of here that you didn't wait until you were done working with a career and a huge 401k and said, now it's time for me to live my life.
Right.
You are out courageously living it now. And I think that's a message that we can all benefit from because the lessons that come out of stretching yourself literally and figuratively, make a difference for all of us.
And this life is short. It really, really is. So make yourself happy.
Yep.
Don't be scared.
Joy is good.
Joy is good.
We like it.
We like it.
All right. Thanks for being here.
And I'm not coming down.
I hope if you know people in the Indianapolis, Indiana area that you will refer them to Brittany's shop, Blue House Bridal. It's a great little place. And our reflection questions for today are, number 1, what is that thing that you could go do that would be courageous, that would step you outside of the box, maybe that you've put yourself in or maybe somebody else has put you there. But what could you do that would jump out and just be courageous? Because as we heard from Brittany, when we do that, it spills over into other aspects of our lives in really great ways. The second reflection question that I have for you today is there someone in your life that you need to have a courageous conversation with that allows you to better own your story? Brittany mentions that she had to have that kind of conversation with her mom, and it was difficult at the time, but it made a significant difference. And sometimes we limit ourselves trying to fit someone else's expectation, and we need to really live our own story. And that may mean that we reach out to someone that we love and care about that is a significant connection in our lives and just say, hey, look, this is important to me and I need your support. We need to, as Vicki has told us before on our therapy sessions, we have to take ownership and accountability. And sometimes that means having courageous conversations with people that we love and that love us. So there you go. Hey, I hope that you are having an amazing 2019. Here we are jumping into February, and whatever goals that you've set for yourself, that things are progressing. If they're not, give me a call. We certainly have opportunities to do coaching, both individual and group coaching, and I'd love to help support you on your journey this year. And if anybody you know is looking for a keynote speaker, I am your girl. Thanks so much for being here.
I'm not coming down. I never left it on the ground. I'm not coming down.